Welcome back, Stasa23 here, back again with some knife therapy, and today I have a new offering from Civivi Knives. This is the Relic. This knife comes in at $72.25, and let's get some specs out of the way so you can have an idea of the size of this Relic. You have an overall length of 8.08 inches, so it's on that it's in that larger size range. Not super common for Civivi. They make some more of the 3.2 inch blade and stuff like that. This one has a 3.5 inch blade, a 3 7/8 inch grip area from right here to here. You have a handle thickness of 0.51 inches, so right about average. Closed width in the pocket from here to here of 1.31 inches. A blade stock thickness of 0.117 inches, and a behind the edge thickness on my particular knife around 11 thousandths at the skinniest and 14 thousandths up here toward the tip, sharpened at 24 degrees per side. All right, before we go any further, why don't we do a little cutting with the Relic and see how well it performs. All right, we're gonna do some cardboard cutting with the factory edge. Pretty sharp. Alrighty, it sliced pretty darn well. Got caught up in this sharp and trawl area a few times, but that was my fault. I wasn't paying attention. Nice. Alright, we're going to test the ergos and see how well this edge is still biting this pine 2x4. We're going to start out light and put a little more pressure into the cut. Alrighty, it did great. Very comfortable in hand with the wider and thicker scales on here. Felt locked in. You just got that neutral grip. It's a good slicer, and you got that nice flat portion from about here to here until it starts to gradually go into that belly, getting a lot of power back here. So enjoying it so far. All right, we're going to cut up some of this 1/2 inch twist. This is a rope. All right, we only did 15 because I ran out of rope. It was doing excellent, slicing nicely. Check that edge. Yeah, still nice and sharp. All right, we're gonna cut up several different types of materials, starting with the seatbelt material. Alrighty, but look how thick. Tons of seams in that one. It did pretty well. One thing that I've noticed over the many knives I've tested, that anytime you have these blasted stone wash finishes, you cut something like rubber or something, the initial cut's a lot harder whenever it barely gets in there. It wants to grab onto the side of that. But, I mean, I don't think people are cutting rubber all day long, but you might. Lost a little bit of that bite up in the front. Still good. Alrighty, I hope y'all enjoyed that cutting footage. I sure enjoyed making it for y'all. Let's take a closer look at this. You have a nice clip point blade shape with a blasted stone wash finish on there. Nice top swedge that brings you down to a nice precise point for doing some detail work and for piercing. You have a high flat grind on here. Comes down, like I said, to a thin edge. So it should be a great slicer. And in the video, you can see it sliced pretty well. The only thing I did notice is that it didn't have a whole lot of bite to it. I had to put a good bit more pressure whenever I was cutting the rope. And it just didn't... It's kind of hard to explain. You'd have to feel it more than anything else. But that's more so because a lot of times you can kind of see it up here in the tip. They send the knives out kind of polished, and I'm sure they're not doing that by hand unless it's on like a machine. And it kind of seems like my last few may have been over polished a little bit, but after the first sharpening, it will get even better. Not saying this knife did bad by any means, but just something to note. Blade steel on this knife is Nitro V steel. It's a good quality stainless steel, kind of similar to ABL in edge retention and toughness. And both Nitro V and ABL take a screaming sharp edge, at least in my experience. As you can see, you got a nice designated sharpening choil right there. I like how they did that, how they kind of didn't go too deep into there and just brought it out that way. It's not as aesthetically pleasing as a round circle, but that allows you to get more that way instead of going deeper into the knife. So you should have a few sharpenings before you hit that choil area. I mean, before you hit that plunger line, my bad. You do have some useful jimping right there. As you can see, it's not rounded over and it's not super deep, but it does grab onto that thumb, and it's right where my thumb lands in the saber grip. I didn't find it uncomfortable. I found it just worked just fine. If I don't want to use it, I can move my hand around it. It's not super uncomfortable or anything. All right, let's close it up. The action on my particular example is kind of gritty. It comes out just fine. I just noticed on the closing, I can kind of feel those bearings, and it just might need a cleaning. I don't know what I done put on there, but just it's something that I've also noticed, especially when you have this blasted finish. It just takes a little bit of time for that detent ball to burnish itself a track onto the blade, and you'll definitely notice that these knives get smoother the more and more you flip them. It just makes sense that way. It is riding on ceramic bearings and a ceramic detent ball. The flipper tab is not huge or anything. It's just right. It's got somewhat of a slant back, and you have a flat portion, so you can light switch it, or you can put your finger on that top part. That jimping does just fine. You can just give it a nice push button as well. I prefer the light switch over the push button. I just find it to be a little bit more comfortable, but that's just me. Take a look at the handle scales. You have black peel plied G10. There you go. That's just flat with these deep chamfers going along the sides. I did notice the ergos were pretty darn good. You have a pretty neutral handle here, and the thickness along with the width filled out my hands nicely, and I was locked in with this jimping right here and this, I guess you could call it a guard with the flipper tab. So I had no issues with ergonomics in any of the cutting I did, at least. You have Torx T8 on the body screws and the pivot. You do have the Civivi logo on the pivot. It is flush. Your pocket clip is tip up, left or right hand, deep carry, black coated. It rode fine in the pocket. I mean, I haven't ever really had a problem with any of Civivi's clips, and they usually use most of the same ones, at least for a given period of time. Okay, you got enough ramp to get through some jeans, and it pretty much buries in the pocket. All you can see is that little silver tab. And what is that, might you ask? Let's pull it out. Well, they went ahead and put themselves, look, there you go, you see that little tab right there? If you didn't already know this, they added a pair of tweezers. Now, they're nothing special. They're not the best. They almost line up, as you can see right there. Now, I did experiment with them, and I plucked a hair off my eyebrows with it just to see if I could, and I was able to hold enough strength. And just like these, sorry, my dog interrupted. Like I said, it could pull little pieces of skin off of here. Let's see, I'm looking through the viewfinder. Got these nasty, yep, got a little piece of skin off of me. You know, I could take it or leave it. It's not really exciting for me, but I guess it gives you kind of like that traditional feel. I don't know. It's, you know, it's a thing. Just hope they don't start adding all kinds of crazy stuff to their handle scales. It's fine whenever it's out of the way and it doesn't cause any extra heft to it. Now, of course, they did have to make these scales a little bit thicker in order to fit that, but nothing noticeable, or at least I didn't notice. So it's fine. I don't want to have to pay extra for something like that, and I don't really think you did. I mean, I'm sure, but comparable to other knives like this from Civivi, it was about the same. You do have flow-through construction, as you can see right here. You have 2 hourglass standoffs that are supporting the backside, and you also have a hidden lanyard post back here. I'm glad they didn't put a hole in the knife. Excellent job. Close. Oh, nope. Open it back up. Your lockup is sitting at around, I'd say about 50% or so. Rock solid, no play in any direction. I mean, this thing's very, very solid. Usually I can flex some left side to side, but absolutely no play on my particular knife. Access to that lock bar is pretty good. You can see they have a little cut right there. I would always like it to be a little bit more than that, but it's just fine. It's not painful or anything. And I usually just get used to not having a whole lot of lock access on a lot of knives. I use this part of my thumb and just put it down right there and slide it over. It's usually never a problem like that. All right, let's get a weight on the knife. First off, in grams, 116.7 grams and 4.11 ounces. Not bad at all. Definitely doesn't bother me any. I know some people might not enjoy that. Let's get some size comparisons out of the way. First up, you got the Ontario Rat 1, which is bigger, and the younger brother, the Send Cut Snap. A lot of people said that these were way too similar looking. I agree on some fronts, but they're identical in length. Actually, the Snap might be just a hair longer. Yeah, the Snap's a hair longer. Let's see, what else do we have? We have the Hogue RSK, the large RSK. Those two are about the same in length as well. And then another Civivi, the Riffle. The Riffle's just a little bit shorter, not by much. And let's see, do we have anything else? 2 more, maybe a CJRB large feldspar. It's also very close in length. And the Real Steel Griffin. The Real Steel Griffin is a little bit larger, and so is the large feldspar. Alrighty. And my nitpicks and complaints. Even though I like the look of a blasted finish, it wears pretty quick within use. You can see the wearing down at the bottom right there. And that was the same with the snap. You can see it has a little bit more wear on there at the bottom especially. That's what it starts to look like at the bottom, where it starts to fade off almost because it's rubbing the blasted finish off. You can see up here too. Not the biggest deal on a budget knife, but you know, it would look just as good with a raw stone wash on there, and it would hide wear a lot better. And what I talked about before, the action on mine is it's getting a little bit better, but it was a little gritty out of the box. It still is a little bit gritty. The action comes out nicely. It's just on the close. I can feel it. Not a big deal either. It's not hurting the functionality of the knife whatsoever. And last is a very, very minor thing. The access to that lock bar, if it would be down just a little bit more, it'd be a little bit easier. It's not hard. You can see you do have enough to grab onto, but I tend to use that fat part of my thumb to get to it. So overall, the knife is good. If you like the overall aesthetics, I'd say definitely go for it. It won't disappoint you. It's a good slicer. It's a beefier knife than Civivi usually puts out, or at least in a while. And you got yourself a tweezer. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them down below. I hope everybody's having an absolute wonderful day, and I will see y'all on the next one. Peace.